Some thoughts on exclusivity and inclusivity. People sure do get pissed off if they're not included in every fucking thing. In fact, they'll get pissed off if you're not willing to pay for everything in their life. People are fucking horrible. You know, you look at, people getting screwed over for the bill on paying for group dinners. You know, people taking advantage of others in so many ways. And I've known a lot of people. Too many. And it's led me eventually to the conclusion that people are fucking horrible. In general. You can read the book, The Elephant in the Brain. It's a good book. And we're sort of, I don't know if we're hardwired for it or not, or what we're evolved for. You know, we're evolved for both cooperation and competition. We're evolved in complex ways. So I don't want to make a DNA argument, but rather a cultural one is where I'd like to focus, because I can't affect DNA anyway. So culturally, there are groups of people who think that they deserve something. And they have lots of excuses for it. They deserve to be given everything for free. That's what it really comes down to. And you can look at many different parts of how that shakes out, the situations, the environments in which that occurs. But that's the fundamental underlying issue. And so there really is no choice if you're a person who cares, if you're willing to put in work and effort, if you're empathetic towards others and want everybody to win, you want to be in a group where everybody's doing well, then you have to exclude a huge number of people. And it's true that your group could handle a small number of moochers, but it can't handle a very big one. And this is true at a small group level or a societal or countrywide level, even internationally. So I really want to figure out what social agreements you have to have with people where they promise that they're going to work hard, that they're going to not fuck up, they're going to fix their fuck ups, and they're going to help others to achieve higher levels of attainment and success. That's exclusion. And it could be considered ableist. It could be considered discriminatory, or other bad words that we say are somehow, terrible things. But the truth is we have to do it, because most of the world is going to collapse anyway. Most people just want to consume all they can. They think, just fuck everybody else. They want to buy products made with slave labor. They're very pro-slavery, though they claim not to be. And so those people are not going to survive. And that's okay. I mean, I might not survive. You might not survive. Even if you're a good person, the civilization is going to collapse. And that's how it is. So think in terms of being a survivalist on who you can trust and what social agreements you can make with people. And don't think like the kind of survivalist, and there are some of these, who say, oh, well, I'm just going to live off other people. I'm going to collect my guns. And they're out there right now. They're cataloging who's storing food, right? They're planning to just live off destroying other people. And it's no big surprise. I mean, that's how the world works now, right? Some people just live off others. The government is made of bullies and assholes, Most people are looking for non-consensual relationships at whatever scale and whatever way. They would love to sell you a shittier product and make a little more money than have the pride of making a good product. They're awful people. And I want to cut them out of my life entirely. Fairly difficult to do. What I would like to do is gather people who do have an ethical framework that's similar to mine, and that we survive together, that we take care of each other, that we have diversity within that, certainly. But some things we should not be diverse about. There is some kind of tolerance that we don't need to have. No tolerance for fucking assholes. No tolerance for non-consent. No tolerance for people who just want to live off of others. It's a different kind of people. Figuring out who those people are is tricky. And I've thought about that. Like, maybe what I should do is, rather than invite people to come live in an intentional community or something, I should make a space that is a training ground for intentional community. And a vetting system where people come to and live in a place for a while, knowing it's temporary, paying for their stay. So they can't fucking pay for their stay. No. You know, they can raise money from somewhere else. They can do something, but nobody comes for free. Because there's thousands of people out there looking for places to go for free. I've hosted many of them. And many of them are quite wealthy, actually. Some have never had a job. You know, they grew up with money and they think they just deserve everything for free. That's the way the world is. I hate to say it. It sounds mean to say. But that's how they are. And lots of them pretend to be poor. They're not. I had a girlfriend who was quite rich, very wealthy. Far more than I. Still probably is. And she was one of the stingiest people I've ever met. And if anything group-oriented was to occur, she would always say, I'm on a fixed income. You know, that was her answer to any money issues. And, you know, she's got like at that time, it's 20 years ago, over 20 years ago. You know, she had like $5 million. But she would like argue with anyone over paying just less. Like, I remember we were in an airport once and we had overstayed. We had gone over our ticket limit or something. We didn't fly on time and they wanted to charge us like $50 extra. So she argued with this woman for a while about that, saying, you know, we just can't pay anything, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, we could. We broke the contract with the airline. It's perfectly legitimate that we pay the fee that they told us we would have to pay anyway if we did that. But she's so stingy, she's not willing to do that. Why is there bike tire tracks here? I don't know anybody who used a bike through here. It's weird. And I found it very embarrassing. I mean, I was working in a corporation at the time, making plenty of money. She's rich as fuck. And so you'll find that there's just tons of people who are essentially sociopaths. And I used to think it was a small number, just like I used to think that the number of people who practiced infidelity was small. I don't think it's small anymore. I think it's huge. It's massive. Most people in relationships, I don't know if it's most or not, but a very high percentage, and it's very hard to measure this, right? Nobody's going to answer on a survey, honestly. But I think infidelity is super common. And my solution for that is polyfidelity, where you have group marriages. And there's a bunch of benefits for that. I can do another video on that. But you have to be honest with people or you're hurting them very badly. So, anyway, so how do I figure that out? Well, one of the things I can do is have a list of social contracts people are going to agree to. Unfortunately, the sociopaths will fucking lie. And so you have to test them. And that's why I mentioned the idea of having a training ground, essentially a testing community where people go to it, they live there, and then they match each other up. They find other people. Other communities are watching what they're doing. They do physical work, they do intellectual work, and they contribute to the community, and you put them in various situations in which their bad attributes will come out. That's tricky to do. I mean, it seems somewhat like a bizarre, totalitarian, strange idea to be testing people, but I don't know any other way to weed them out, to weed out the fuckwads, you know? My zipper's down. That is not good if I'm going to town. People will probably be too polite to even say anything. But you find out how they act under stress. You find out how they act when they don't get what they want. You find out if they slack off. You have items available to easily steal. You know, I had a group of college students visit me, and one person or somebody, actually it was, turns out later it was a group. We didn't find that out till later, but somebody stole backpacks of two people. And one of the backpacks had a guy's travel journal in it, which can't be replaced. And, you know, they searched the students, they didn't find anything. And then, which is very annoying to search a bunch of innocent people. And the person had probably hidden it somewhere else, right? It was never found. Now, the professor who was in charge of the trip that brought the students later told me that they had, in fact, identified the people. But it was, you know, like 6 months later. And I never heard that they, you know, retrieved the journal or anything like that. But it really made a huge bummer at the end of this very fun event that I had hosting these college students. There was like 35 of them or something like that. I don't remember. And they had a blast. But I made some mistakes. I allowed drinking. I had a party. In fact, the backpacks were stolen during the party. It was a party at the end of their visit. And it really damaged me because, I mean, those volunteers that were there that had their backpacks stolen, they had a bad experience at my place because I didn't control who was invited. And the thing is, most of those college students were just fine. Actually, most of them were totally boring, and they were just going for the trip. But there's like 5 of them that were actually interested in the ecological topics that were related to their class and stuff, and they asked questions and took notes, and the rest of them were just there to go on a fun trip. So that's the 5 I want. What is that? 1 out of 7 people? Basically, I want the top 10% of people. Oh, fuck. Make sure I don't fall down on this trail. Okay. And in your life, you might want to think about that. Like, do you have friends who are actually pretty bad people? And I don't mean bad in the sense of being criminal or something, although you should get rid of those people too. Although not all criminals are bad because a lot of laws are bad, so we'll skip that part. But people who don't follow their word, people who will, you know, use you and abuse you. And I've had a lot of friends like that. Friends, right? Friends who take advantage of you. I don't want that anymore in my life. And your family, your biological family, may in fact not be good people. You may need to break away from them. Maybe they force you into a religion you don't like. Or they don't accept your sexuality, you know, or whatever. Or maybe you're the asshole. Totally possible. I went walking up there the other day. Where the fuck was I? Yeah. Like, I've had people stay with me and then they invite their friend. Their friend is invariably far inferior to them. Their friends are often idiots. And so you don't want to have those people as friends. And you should be punished if you invite them into a space. You look at this for social networks and stuff, right? In social networks, people behave horribly, abominably. And that's who they actually are inside. Even if they're nice in person. You know, it's kind of like if people treat waitstaff badly or people in an inferior servant role, if they treat them badly, that means they're a bad motherfucking person. Cut them out of your life. You know? And so, same thing for people who are assholes online, which there's just an infinite number of those people. And I block them all the time, but I'll never be done blocking people. So instead of trying to just block them out that way, I want to attract and test the best people for good behavior. And it isn't like any of us are perfect, right? I have bad behaviors. I'm a bad person in some ways. And great. I could ask for forgiveness, but it'd be a lot better if I would fix myself and not be a bad person. And what good or bad is may depend on your culture and your desires and the stage of your life you're at. You know, maybe you want to live in a place where everybody plays loud music constantly all the time as much as they want. I don't want that. I consider that very bad behavior, polluting the audio channel. So I only want the best people. People who can pay for themselves, not sponge off of others. People who don't steal and lie and cheat. People who are helpful and creative. People who are always self-developing and developing others. They're actually in action, creating a better world. They are love in action, not just pretty words. Cut out the fucking sociopaths. Well, there's some thoughts on exclusion for you. Good luck in your own life. I hope you find the people who are good. And then also keep that very private, because if you do create a good space that's profitable and fun and wonderful, it will attract the bad people. It will very much attract them. They're looking for that, because then they can enter that and take advantage of people. And they will do anything they can to get access. So you have to keep it totally secret. Adios.